All right. Well, welcome. I am so excited to have you today, and we are going to go through a workout called TRE. So I'll give you a little bit of the history of what TRE is. So TRE is trauma and tension releasing exercises. And along with this, we have under the same umbrella uh, sister program that's called neurogenic yoga. And so the TRE was actually developed by Dr. David Berceli, and he was a bioenergetic therapist, and he had a PhD in clinical social work. But he came up with this practice and has been doing it for many years. He has taught in over 90 countries to over 7 million people. Um, and a little bit about Dr. Berceli. So he began working in war zones, primarily in Africa and the Middle East. And he noticed, like, as these areas were getting hit with lots of traumatic events like bombing, he was observing how adults and children and even himself were managing the stress and the trauma of the events. Um, and so he knew that the way that adults were taking it all in was much different from the way that children were taking it in. The adults tended to kind of suppress like what they were feeling and contract, where the children were kind of like letting their bodies shake. And after kind of like experiencing it, letting their bodies shake, they were able to like move on and recover a lot faster than the adults were. So Dr. Berceli actually knew, like, after seeing this, that there was um, a serious issue with like needing to get people the support that they needed and how to process stress. And so he came up with this theory, and basically was that like we are genetically encoded to contract our body as like a protective mechanism whenever we have any kind of stressful event, and it could be minor or major. But we're also genetically encoded to shake and tremor. And again, like as adults, we suppress this. And part of it is just that like negative social connotation about it. And like it's crazy because the kids kind of do the exact opposite. So he came up with 7 exercises, and basically what these 7 exercises do is they're going to stretch and fatigue large muscles in your lower body. And that just helps to activate your nervous system and get into the tremoring. Um, Kind of along with TRE is the neurogenic yoga. And so that falls under the umbrella, like I said, but that was created by 2 teachers, Jenica Mills and Maria Alfaro. And that actually does more of bringing in like yoga asanas, breath work, and movement into the practice to prep for the tremoring. So today we'll do just TRE, but the neurogenic yoga is also something that is pretty neat to explore with the practice of tremoring. So just a little information before we get started is we want to make sure we're able to feel safe and comfortable in our body and kind of just regulating the experience. So when we go through the 7 exercises, they should never feel painful. You should always kind of listen to your body. So respect any limitations. So at any point, like if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel like you need to take a rest, you can do that. When we get into the tremoring, I'll actually show you kind of like the stop position if you need to stop. But you never want your body to have like, if we were on like a pain scale of 0 to 10, it should never be over a 7. So you want to stay in that window of tolerance, and that just take breaks, rest as needed. Do you have any injuries or anything going on I should be aware of?
No,
Okay.
other than just a little nasal decongestion dripping.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So if it becomes too much, just let me know and just always rest as needed. Yeah, so that's a little bit about the practice and yeah, we'll get into it. So, what I'll do is I will go through kind of the directions. I'll give you a little info about each exercise. I'll demo it and then I'll have you actually do the exercise afterwards and I'll kind of look at form if we have to correct anything. But we'll go through the 7 exercises and that will bring us into the tremoring aspect, which takes about 12 to 15 minutes. And then we'll kind of come out of the tremoring and we'll do like a quick little check-in at the end. So that'll be kind of what we got going on. All right. So we're gonna start off standing. So I'm gonna move my camera. All right. And so the first exercise that we are going to do, I'll kind of give you like a closer view of my feet. But this is going to warm up our feet, our ankles, and actually 1/4 of our bones in our body are actually located in the feet, which I thought was pretty interesting. So getting our body warmed up for with our feet is crucial. But this is kind of just waking up our body, giving us a little grounding to start. What we're going to be doing is I kind of think of them as skiers. So your feet will be about hips width apart. And then a really simple exercise. We're just going to roll to the right side onto the outer edge of our toes. And then my left foot, you'll see, is kind of following it, but the outer side is lifted up. So you're kind of rolling to that outside right ankle. And then we slowly shift to the opposite side and you're lifting up just like that. So pretty simple. You're going to go 5 on each side. And you can kind of pace yourself on that. So go ahead when you're ready. So just rolling on to the ankle, outer side of your foot, and shifting that weight back. Looks good. All right. So exercise 2, I'm gonna actually move you over this way. We are gonna be working on fatiguing our calf muscles. So you'll wanna have like a wall area that's open, that you can put your hands on for balance. So I have kind of like my area right here. So what I do is I just put my hands kind of like slightly out like this. You don't have to be super close to the wall. 10 to 15, or sorry, 4 to 6 inches, 10 to 15 centimeters. And then we don't want to press onto the wall. So you're just letting your hands rest on it. But what we'll do is we'll start with our left foot planted, and then you'll bring your right foot up, so knees bent. If you need a little kickstand, you can put the toe down like this. But what we're going to be doing is just a simple calf raise going up onto the left toes and then back down. And what you want to do is take it nice and slow, but you want to fatigue the muscle till it's about a 7 out of 10. Once you get that 7 out of 10, you'll shake out your foot and then you'll do the other side. Good. So just staying in that window of tolerance, no more than a 7 out of 10.
And then switch sides.
Yep. And then you'll switch sides. And same thing, just going for that 7 out of 10. All right, great. So the next one we're going to do is going to fatigue our um, hamstrings. It'll fatigue our quads. So you're going to do the same kind of thing. You're going to need a wall area. And you're going to put your hands, it'll be quadriceps, glutes, hamstrings, but you'll basically use the wall for balance like this again. And just like we did last time, we are going to lift one leg up. This time it'll be kind of like in front. So I'm lifting my left knee. And then what I want to do is I want to bring my hips back. And I'm going to squat down and then come back up. So kind of as if I'm like sitting in an imaginary chair. And we want to fatigue that muscle or the muscles until we reach about a 7. Once you do that, you'll shake it out and then you'll switch sides. So opposite leg will come up, fatigue that muscle till you're about a 7 out of 10. Good. So like you're sitting in an imaginary chair. Perfect.
My knees are so crunchy.
That's how mine are. It's funny. Perfect. All right, so the next one we're gonna do exercise 5. So this is gonna stretch out your hip flexors, so your psoas and iliac muscles and just the front side of your body. So what it is, it's basically a simple forward fold, and you'll be doing a little breath work with it as well. So just that. But you'll widen your stance. And then hinging at the hips, we're going to come all the way down to the center. And we'll just let our head hang heavy. And we're going to take 3 breaths here. After the 3 breaths, you're going to walk your fingertips over to the right side. You'll take 3 breaths. You walk it over to the left side. Take 3 breaths. And then you'll put your back side of your hands, palms up, and you'll kind of walk your fingertips back for a final stretch, 3 breaths. And then as we come out of this, you're going to slowly roll up to a standing position. All right, so I'll kind of help guide you through this one. We'll start just wide stance, folding forward, and we'll take 3 breaths here. Once you have your 3 breaths, you'll walk your fingertips over to the right side and 3 breaths at the right side. You can do on your foot, ankle, shin, whatever is best for you. And last 3, you'll reach back. And then you'll do back side of your hands, palms up. Perfect. 3 breaths there. All right, and then slowly hinging at the hips as you come forward, rolling up that spine. Perfect. All right. So exercise 6 is going to be a wall sit. So for this exercise, you're really working upper thighs and your quadriceps. And for this, we want to stay in that window of tolerance. I would say more at a 5 to 6 instead of the 6 to 7, because we are going to hold it for a little longer period of time. And you want to stay relaxed as you do it. But you'll sit on the wall, so you'll need an open wall space. And then putting your back against the wall, we're going to walk our feet out slightly in front of us. You want to be able to see your toes. And then you'll slowly just kind of press that back into the wall. And you'll notice as you do this, you'll start to feel your body fire up. You'll feel a little shaking. At any point, if it becomes too much, the shaking's too intense, what you can do is just kind of walk your back up slightly on the wall. And you can also adjust your feet, bringing them closer to you. But feel free to take rests as needed. But we're going to try and hold for 2 to 3 minutes. So we'll see how we do. And then just adjust as needed.
Are your knees bent, Julie?
So what you'll do is you'll kind of walk them out in front of you. You want to be able to see your toes. So they'll have a slight bend. Almost at like a 90-degree, but when you see your toes, it'll be a little less than 90.
Okay.
So just you want to just make sure the biggest thing is staying in that 5 to 6 range, because you're going to be holding it for a little bit longer than usual.
Okay.
Perfect. And you're able to see toes?
Yep.
Good. Perfect. Got about a minute and a half remaining. Everything feeling okay?
Yeah, a little shaky.
Yep. It's firing up. And then to get out of this, you'll put your hands on your wall and then walk your feet close to your body at the wall. Slowly roll up to standing. Good. All right. So the next one we are going to do is you're going to come to a standing position. And I'll kind of show you this way. Is we are going to put our hands on our back like this. So it's going to be like if you were wearing jeans, kind of think above like the pocket area. So it's lower back, as if you were kind of going through like camel pose in yoga. And then we're going to bring our elbows back. And for this exercise, we're actually going to push our hips forward, but we're going to keep our gaze straight ahead. So in camel, a lot of times we lift our head. For this, we're going to keep our gaze forward. And we're going to hold here for 3 breaths. After the 3 breaths, what we're going to do is we're going to look over our left shoulder and kind of keeping the hips pushed out. We're going to look over and down behind us. 3 breaths. We'll come back to center and making sure we're still keeping the hips pushing forward, almost like you're pushing a drawer forward. And then we do the same thing, looking to the right side, looking down. 3 breaths. And then back to center. All right. So go ahead, get hands situated. We're pushing our hips forward, almost that pelvic tilt. And then we'll keep our gaze straight ahead. We'll do 3 breaths here. And once you get your 3rd breath, you'll turn to the right, looking down and away. And back to center, opposite side, 3 breaths. And then back to center. Take 3 breaths here. And then release. All right. So the next part, there's 3 different things that I'll go through. So this is going to be the part on the floor. And this is the actual kind of progression that we go through for tremoring. So there's going to be an activation period that I'll show you. And basically what this does is it just fires up our muscles one more time before we get into the tremoring. And you'll get like a minute of that and then a minute rest. And I'll kind of time you through it. And then we're going to go through just different increments of bringing our knees closer and closer together. And I'll time those out for you so you don't have to think about it as you go. But it'll change like the way the vibration feels in your body and the pulsing. And then eventually you're going to get to a point where your feet will be flat on the ground and your body, knees will be bent, and your body's just going to experience all of it. So the tremoring, and you'll feel it in all different areas. But I'm going to go through kind of piece by piece what that looks like for the demo, and then I'll cue you through it afterwards. And then when we do this, you'll kind of want to set your camera up like mine, where I can see like the full mat.
Okay.
I want to see kind of full body, how your body goes through the progression of the tremoring.
Wedge you under the desk.
No, I know. I have to get creative too with mine. So to start off, we go into this butterfly position. So the soles of your feet are going to touch, and you'll kind of bring them out about, I would say, an inch or 2 from like a normal butterfly stretch. And then you're going to lay on your back, and you'll just kind of keep your legs open like this, knees wide. And how we get into the charge is kind of using the soles of our feet. We're going to press up into like a hip bridge like this, and we're going to hold it for a minute. If that's too much, you can still do this just all the way down in this position. But when you hold that hip bridge for a minute, it actually charges up the body.
Okay.
So we'll do that. You're gonna hold it for a minute. We'll rest for a minute. And then the next part is actually every 2 minutes, I'll cue you and you can follow this. Is you'll be moving your knees in 2 to 4 inches, keeping your soles of your feet touching to start. And then you'll start to notice your body will shake a little bit. I'll say another 2 to 4 inches, you bring them in closer, another 2 inches, 4 inches. And then eventually you're going to notice your feet are kind of in an awkward stance where you can put the soles of your feet down on the ground. And you can stay in this position for the remainder of the time. And this is where you'll notice the vibration really kind of fired up in your body. At any point, if you're feeling like it's too much or you need to rest, the stop position is extending your legs out nice and long like this. You flex your toes towards you, and then your fingertips flex like this. And you just kind of hold it for a couple seconds and then relax. If you need to rest during the practice, but you want to keep going, you can rest like this, or just kind of like resting with knees bent is fine as well. But to stop is just that full position.
Doing the 2 to 4 inches, am I keeping my butt on the ground that time during that time?
Yes. So the only time that you're going to be lifted in that bridge is for that first progression for the minute. And then we give your body a minute afterwards to rest.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. Okay. So we got soles of the feet touching. Good. And then we're going to lift our hips up into that hip bridge. And we'll hold for a minute. And about 30 more seconds. Perfect. And we'll lower back down. So you can let your knees just fall out wide, just like that. And then we're going to take a minute to rest. All right, so we'll start the tremoring process. So if you'd like to lift your knees anywhere from 2 to 4 inches, and then we'll hold there for about 2 minutes. And we'll have 3 progressions of the 2 minutes where you're lifting up. But again, modify as needed. If it's too much, you can always come back lower or higher, depending on what's more preferable to you. All right, and if you're ready, we'll go another 2 to 4 inches, bringing them closer. Are you noticing any shaking or anything
Yeah.
coming up?
Yeah, my inner thighs for sure are shaking.
Mhm. And it feels safe?
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right, so if you're ready, you can bring them in another 2 to 4 inches, and at that point, you may be pretty close to having your soles of your feet on the ground. So feel free to put them down. Um, and we'll take another 2 minutes kind of in this position. If you're feeling like the other progressions kind of activated more, you can go back. Like, don't feel like you have to stay in this position. Do what's best for you.
Okay.
And you can also adjust your foot placement too. If you feel like you're not getting like a lot of vibration, you could try sliding your heels towards you, maybe like an inch or so. And you can kind of play with the opening the knees up too. So I'll take another 2 minutes here. Are you noticing any changes from the last position to this position with knees closer?
It's like more like rapid like this versus like
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? It feels small
Yeah.
like it's smaller and faster.
Okay.
Like it feels more like shivers in this position than like the other one was more like when you shake from like working out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So we have about 4 minutes, and we'll kind of continue. Again, just stay in your window of tolerance. If it becomes too intense, just rest. But I'll let you kind of play with adjusting if needed, um, kind of just feeling it out.
Okay.
Got about 2 more minutes remaining. All right, so we're gonna come into that stop position. We'll extend the legs nice and long, and then flexing our toes, flexing our fingers. Perfect. So we'll take about 3 minutes for a rest. So if you want any props like a blanket, bolster, pillow, find a comfortable shape or position that's best for you. We'll just relax. All right, and when you're ready, we'll roll onto a side of your choice. Just take a couple moments here. And when you're ready, you can slowly press up into a seated position and kind of just let your body look around the room, kind of reorientate, maybe look at something you might not normally look at before looking at the screen. You can do any kind of like little stretches as well. You feel like your body might want. All right. How was everything?
Gosh. So that was so good. It was like really shaky in my legs. Is it typically legs for people or like how?
Primarily, like you can shake anywhere in the body. Um, like I kind of told you, I've had it like where it's like it's come in my neck, it's come in my jaw. For me, I mostly get kind of lower body. Like I've had like hips, like pelvic area, calves, hamstring, quads, that kind of area. But again, it's like every single time is a little bit different. So the more you practice it, it's kind of your body will react differently probably every time or have similarities sometimes.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
funny. At first, it was like the kind of shaking, like, from like workout shaking, but then it was like very, like, I don't know, it just felt like releasing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'll kind of go through a little bit of like aftercare stuff just so you know.
Okay.
Um Just important to drink water, stay hydrated. You might notice like over the next day or two, you might feel a little tired or more fatigued. So just kind of like monitor yourself, rest as needed. If you have any kind of like soreness, I mean, taking an Epsom salt bath, stretching, those kind of things. Um, and then even just like the next 24 to 36 hours, like you might be like, oh, I feel very like emotional or just like taking on a lot of fatigue. It's a lot to process. That's normal. You can always contact me if you have questions. But people sometimes will say too, like they notice their dreams or like the unconscious or conscious sometimes can be like a little crazy after. So pay attention to that and see if you notice anything. It'd be just cool to kind of hear if you do. But you'll want to, if you like doing it, you'll want to wait a couple days before you do it again. You never want to do like more than 3 times a week, just because it's like you need your body to recover and kind of practicing safely. But as you practice it more, you won't have to necessarily go through the 7 exercises I went through. Like, for example, like you might go do a hike or you might cycle. And if you've been practicing it for like a long time, you might actually be able to just go straight into that butterfly position
Okay.
and your body will kind of know over time. And then yeah, so that it just kind of you can do a variety of stuff for warm up, traditional yoga, anything after a while, after your body kind of like understands like the tremoring and feeling safe in your body. Um, but yeah, just like you can always practice on your own or with a provider. I think the big thing that they ask of all of us is just like don't teach anyone unless you're certified just because of the safety aspect. But overall, I hope it was a good experience and
Good.
got to try something new and
Yeah,
it's
that was
really helpful.
amazing. Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
that.
Yeah. All right. You can, yeah, we can unclick it if